Hi, this is Dr. Woodland with LifeViews, and today we're going to talk about how you can make sleep your weapon for improving your health. Now, we always think of sleep as a luxury, but it's really not. In fact, my mom is right. Sleep is a weapon. A good night's sleep will help you not only look better and feel better, but be healthier and perform whatever you're trying to do to a higher level. In fact, poor sleep typically makes you not only tired, but sick. And when I see people that are constantly getting sick, one of the key common denominators for them is that they're just not sleeping well. So lack of sleep is actually linked to obesity, diabetes, fibromyalgia, chronic pain, high blood pressure, depression, in addition to many other health conditions. And the cure for this for a lot of people is just sleeping more. This is effortless. It feels good. It's going to make you look better. It has no side effects. So unlike other things that you may be feeling like you have to push yourself to do, like exercise more or eat more vegetables, it may be hard for some people. This actually requires no extra effort, just some planning. So I think this is a great thing to add to your health plan. So let me first give you an introduction to the stages of sleep. So there is non-REM sleep and REM sleep. And when we talk about non-REM sleep, there are actually 4 stages of this. And the last 2 stages of non-REM sleep is your deep sleep. And this is where your body physically heals, which is really important. So this is why when you don't sleep well, you actually hurt in the morning. And this can be why people with fibromyalgia and chronic pain have an increase in those symptoms, because their body isn't healing as it should. Now, when you get to REM sleep, this is actually where you have vivid dreams, and this is where your nervous system or your brain recovers. So think of your computer, and if it's loaded on with programs, it's bogging down your hard drive and it's really sluggish, and then you clear that and you restart your computer, and your computer runs more efficiently and quicker. This is what happens in REM sleep to your brain. It's basically clearing the clutter from your hard drive so it can run well. And REM sleep typically dominates or has a higher percentage of the last third of your sleep. And it's been estimated that a sleep cycle that has both non-REM and REM sleep takes roughly about 90 minutes. And this will obviously vary person to person. And they think that ideally you should get about 5 sleep cycles a day for optimal health. And again, there's going to be individual variation. These are generalities. So a lot of people can get to sleep, but they talk to me about they keep waking up at night. And so this is, I think, a way of thinking about sleep that may be helpful. You have what I call noise. And this is your sleep environment. So it could be actual, literally noise, how comfortable your bed is, the temperature of your room, any number of factors could go into your sleep environment. The amount of caffeine that you have had during the day, because caffeine has a half-life of 7 to 9 hours. So if you have a cup of coffee at 5 p.m., at midnight, you still have half that cup of coffee working in you. The stress and your emotional state throughout the day adds up to your noise. And any physical pains you have will also be all part of what we will call noise. Now, your ability to sleep is like a teeter-totter, and the degree of sleepiness is on one side of the teeter-totter, and the other side are all those factors involved in noise. So if you can get to sleep because you're really sleepy, that's great. But then as you sleep throughout the night, the sleepiness actually gets lighter, and the noise is still there. And if the noise outweighs your sleepiness, it will wake you up and you won't go into your deep sleep. So that's why it's going to be important when we look at tips to help you sleep better, that we reduce your noise so you can stay asleep throughout the night. So lack of sleep actually puts your body in a fight or flight mode. So when you are tired and you're forcing yourself to stay up, you release adrenaline to sort of psych yourself up to get through the day. And then what do? We go for caffeine and energy drinks to further stimulate your stress response. But then they wear off and you hit rock bottom, and then you have to go right back to sugary foods and more caffeine. So it's like a roller coaster. The higher you are at the beginning, the faster and the quicker you're going to fall. And then anytime you're on edge, guess what? Your ability to focus and be in that moment significantly diminishes. And so how often do you kind of feel like this? And this is a typical scenario I'll see people talk about. They feel just like this guy looks in the afternoon, and then go for that energy drink to try to get through it. But if we can actually sleep well the night before, we can avoid this roller coaster ride. So what's interesting is that sleep directly affects the hormones involved in a healthy weight. In our previous webinar, I introduced you to these hormones. But what they have found is a lack of sleep makes your leptin hormone level go down. And this is the hormone that tells your brain there's enough fuel in the fat cells, stop eating and use the food for energy. And it makes your ghrelin level go up, which tells your brain, hey, I'm hungry. So this was seen in a study at the University of Chicago where they took healthy men and they limited them to 4 hours of sleep for just 2 nights. And in that study, they showed an 18% drop in leptin levels and a 28% increase in ghrelin levels. Thus, with ghrelin going up higher than it should, making you hungrier than it should be after just a couple nights of poor sleep. And how often do we feel that? We don't sleep well and we're just starving the next day. Another study showed even just less than 6.5 hours of sleep seemed to increase ghrelin levels as well, making you feel hungrier than you really should be. So these changes in hormones make you feel like you need to eat when you really don't, and this will lead further to weight gain. Another interesting hormone related to sleep is growth hormone. So your brain releases growth hormone in your deep sleep cycles. And growth hormone is essential because it helps your body use fat for energy instead of storing it. It essentially helps you build lean muscle. So when you don't allow yourself to go into deep sleep, you're further throwing off your metabolism of fat and not building the muscle you need. So what's the hormonal effect of poor sleep? You're going to be hungrier than you should be. The food you eat will be stored as fat instead of used for energy. And further, because your growth hormone level's down, you're going to be less able to burn fat for energy as well. So let's go through some recommendations for sleep. Now first, if you are having sleep trouble, I always want you to talk to a healthcare provider to look for specific medical conditions that lead to trouble sleeping, like sleep apnea, which is really common. Now, I want you to think about sticking to a regular bedtime and waking schedule. A lot of people will really throw off their schedule because on the weekend, when they don't have to get up for work as early, they'll sleep several hours later than normal and go to bed a lot later. But this actually throws off your biorhythms and will make it harder for you to sustain good sleep every night. So stay within a half hour of when you go to bed and wake up, and this will really help. Make your surroundings dark at least 1 hour prior to going to bed, and this will help your body start to secrete melatonin and get ready for sleep. Now, if you're lying in your bed and you can't sleep, don't stay in your bed tossing and turning. Actually, get out of bed and do something boring. And then when you feel tired, go back to bed, and this will help you fall asleep. Now, when you get up in the morning, I want you to go out and get in the sun for at least 10 to 15 minutes. This is going to help also set your biorhythms and help your circadian rhythm. And this is a great time either to eat breakfast outside, go for a walk, do some stretching, do a yoga routine, whatever you like. This can be a really key component of getting your sleep rhythm set. So isn't this kind of a beautiful picture? Think about starting your morning in this way instead of rushing out the door. Even just 10 minutes of doing a relaxation exercise or talking to family is a great way to start your day on multiple levels. If you have trouble going to bed at night, consider chamomile tea. Now this has no caffeine and actually has some properties that help with reducing anxiety and getting you calm. And lavender scent also has been shown to help with sleep. So you could take a warm bath with a lavender scent, or actually they make lavender sprays you can put on your pillow. This may help induce a state of relaxation for you. This is a key, no caffeine after 1 or 2 o'clock. That's because on average caffeine has a half-life of about 7 to 8 hours. So if you're having caffeine throughout the day, it's still going to be in your system, and that's going to increase that noise we talked about and wake you up throughout the night. Another factor we don't think about is the type of light that comes from the computer or handheld devices like iPhones actually tends to inhibit the release of melatonin and keep you from sleeping well. So avoid exposure to computers or handheld devices for at least 1 hour before bed. Also, I want you to avoid high glycemic index foods prior to bed. It's going to spike your sugar and insulin level, and that will not only affect sleep, but also it will decrease your growth hormone secretion as well. And this is where I think if you have trouble shutting your mind off from a busy day, adding a relaxation technique to your bedtime routine can be invaluable, whether it's breathing exercises, visualizations, progressive muscle relaxation, meditation. I think this can be a great way to calm your mind down. And instead of going over all the negative things of the day, only talk or think about positive things at bedtime. Think about what you're grateful for. If there's a thought or saying you want to instill into yourself before you go to sleep, do that. But be positive prior to bed, which will reduce your stress and help you sleep better. Keep your room cool. In fact, the ideal sleeping temperature is less than 70 degrees, and everyone's different. But if your room is warm, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get a good night's sleep. And if possible, don't do vigorous exercise 3 hours prior to bed. This tends to stimulate you, release adrenaline, and keep you from being able to sleep. Now, obviously, everyone has their own schedule, and sometimes you just can't help it. But if possible, avoid that exercise then. Allow yourself at least 7 to 9 hours for sleep at night. If you can't sleep 7.5 hours if you only give yourself 6 hours to sleep. Track your sleep in the health tracker, and then do a food journal. And you may find that when you don't sleep well, you see that you're eating differently the next day, and this may help you understand how important sleep is to your health. Thirdly, this is not something you can force. Let go at bedtime, relax, think positively, and this will be a great way to enhance your health, feel better, and live the life with the passion you want. Have a good night's sleep.